and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to get a private guided tour through the latest exhibit at the Charles Taylor Art Center with our familiar tour guide, James Warwick Jones. Welcome back.
Thank you, Robin. It's great to be here again.
Last time you were here, I think we were talking about landscapes and an exhibit you had, and I went to see the exhibit not too long after your show, and it was so much more interesting to have your interpretation and guidance. So today we'll do that again with your new exhibit, and it'll be great for people who can't get out and see it, but it also gives those of us who then go to visit a little more knowledge and experience about what we're looking at.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
So tell us this, actually it's kind of 3 shows in one that you have, right?
Exactly. First, let me talk a little bit about the Art Center and the theater because it's our 25th anniversary.
That's right.
And been doing exhibitions and classes and workshops and performances at the theater for 25 years. So we're celebrating that this year. And the Glass Guild, Peninsula Glass Guild show we've been doing for 25 years. It's one of the shows we do every year. I didn't
realize that. And that's also really popular. I mean, glass is easy to understand and appreciate, and it's got light and color, and I love glass.
It's an interesting medium. It starts out as a solid, and then when you're working with a glass blowing or flame working, you're working with it as a molten material. And then when it cools, it gets hard again. So it's an interesting medium. It's an early one, goes back to the Egyptians and the Assyrians and the Phoenicians. And although it's very fragile, it's also a very durable material. It lasts basically forever. So it's a very interesting and exciting medium. We just took a bus trip up to Richmond to see the Juried show. So
I went too. It's just phenomenal.
It's an amazing show. So he's one of the premier glass workers in the world today. And the Peninsula Glass Guild does a juried show every year. Bring in a juror from the world of glass, a well-known figure, to jury the show, give the awards. And it's an interesting show. The first image we're going to look at is by actually Kent Ipsen, who, along with Juried, is one of the premier glass workers in the world. He passed away earlier this year, so this is a memorial exhibition.
Oh.
But he studied with Harvey Littleton, who's sort of the father of modern art glass in the world. And before that, artists were working in factories. They were doing mass-produced work. Then back in the 60s, there was a movement for artists to work on a more personal way. And Kent Ipsen was one of the first artists who did that. This first piece you're looking at is actually a piece of blown glass. And to see it without the wall label, you'd probably think it was a Tiffany. It's a very traditional form, very beautiful. And that was one of the first things he did, was work with blown glass. The next piece we're going to look at is another Kent Ipsen piece, and he did cast glass. So he would make a clay model, then he'd make a mold of that, plaster mold, then pour hot wax in that, and then make another mold with concrete that would withstand the temperatures of the furnace for the glass. He would put crushed glass into the mold and create these wonderful sculptural forms. And these are mostly figurative pieces. The image we're looking at now is called Fallen Dancer. And these are large pieces. Most of them are life-size or even larger.
Oh, wow.
Weigh several hundred pounds. We usually think of glass as being very light and delicate, but these are massive pieces. And he began by doing a drawing of the figure. And his work is always about ideas. This next piece is of hands. This is actually larger than life size. They're probably 3 times the size of a human hand. Very gestural pieces. He actually had a commission by the Vatican Museum to do a piece.
Oh, wow.
And in the show, we have a piece called Mother and Child. It's not the piece in that collection, but it kind of reminds me of Madonna and Child, so it's a piece that relates to his work in cast glass. One of the first artists who really used that that technique.
It is very different than some of the other glass techniques, certainly than blown glass.
And he was a teacher, and he was trying to teach this to the students, and he couldn't really find any examples, so he brought them into the studio, and they actually did it. But they were all disappointed when the works came out of the cast as the molds, because you think of glass as being bright and shiny. It has sort of a dull finish. It has a very unique look in the world of glass.
Oh.
Next, we'll talk a little bit about the Glass Guild show, the Juried show. There are about 50 artists in the show, over 100 pieces in all different mediums. Blown glass, cast glass, flame worked, pâte de verre, many different techniques. And one of the artists represented in the show is another really internationally known artist, Emilio Santini. Emilio was a 7th generation glass worker from Italy, Murano in Venice.
Oh, I was going to ask with Murano, okay.
Amazing artist. A few years ago, I was in St. Louis on business, went into a little gallery. I saw glass work and said, well, that looks like Emilio's, and it was.
Oh,
so
wow.
He shows really all around
the
country, teaches at Corning Art Museum, Phil Chuck, and other major glass studios. Just an amazing artist.
These pieces are just beautiful.
This is another piece that, to me, kind of reminds me of Tiffany and that type of glass, a very traditional form, but in a very sculptural way, beautiful color. The way the light interacts with the artwork and the glass is really amazing. So it's a very
sort of
beautiful medium.
Flowing look
very
to it.
Fluid, which suggests the process of working with hot glass. This next piece is by Heather Hartle, who's an artist from Williamsburg. And this one is carved Cameo glass, which again is another very traditional technique that's been done for probably 100 years. Very beautiful forms. This is quite a small piece. They're pieces the size you can hold in your hand, and pieces that are probably 200 or 300 pounds. So it's an interesting show for scale also. Although it's Peninsula Glass Guild, it really reaches throughout all of Tidewater and all across the state of Virginia. Richmond is a very active place for glass. Another connection, Ken Ipsen, who is represented in the memorial exhibition, actually started the glass program at VCU.
Oh, really?
So many of his former students and colleagues are still connected. This next piece is by Matthew Fine. Matthew's from Virginia Beach, and he's interesting, works on a very large scale.
That's very different.
This piece has a granite base, a wooden element, and then the top element, the crescent shape there, is glass. So he works with interesting materials. You don't usually think of combining glass with metal and wood and stone, and a lot of contemporary artists are doing that. This is a very sculptural piece. Reminds me of maybe African art, actually. This next piece is by Richard Nelson. Rick lives in Newport News, actually works at Jefferson Lab, electrical engineer. And this is a slumped glass piece. So he constructed the form, the tubular form, out of copper tubing, metal screening, then laid sheet glass on top and fired that in the kiln. The glass melts and sort of takes that very fluid shape with the contours of the form it's draped over. So
That's
slumped glass is
and you have
technique.
Not so much control exactly over what's going to happen once you put that in the kiln.
A lot of glass is like that. You kind of take your chances. You've got gravity, you've got temperature, you've got the type of glass. All of those elements play into what's happening. So it's a little bit of a hit and a miss. Sometimes you don't always get the effect that you want, or you might have kind of a happy accident and something you weren't expecting actually turns out very well. The Chrysler Museum in Norfolk has a wonderful glass collection, and they just opened a hot shop there, so they have
I saw that. Isn't that neat? They do classes and they do
And
instruction.
you can go and actually low glass and working with these wonderful techniques. This is a piece by Heather Sutherland, who's one of the assistants there that works in the odd shop. And sort of a fashion statement. It's called Stiletto Number 7.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Beautiful, rich red color. Quite a wonderful piece. We don't usually think of glass in terms of fashion, but Deborah Dowden Crockett, who's an artist from Virginia Beach, actually made a bikini using glass elements. These are small kind of flower shapes.
I cannot wait to see that in person. That is really different and beautiful.
It's an amazing
and
piece.
Fun.
And fun too. And actually adjacent to the sculpture's a photograph of somebody actually wearing the dress on stage in a rock concert. So kind of an interesting combination of fashion and glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last piece to show from the Glass Guild exhibition, we don't usually think of neon as glass, but it is glass tubing.
Right, so right, and that's where the shape is.
Exactly, again, very fluid. This is a piece about 8 foot long, 4 foot tall, combining different elements, sort of an abstract, beautiful color, kind of the colors of the rainbow, not just the typical neon colors you see in signage. So it's an example of artists taking a product which is originally a commercial project and transforming that into an art form. This is by Clay McGlamory, who teaches at Old Dominion University. And when I say university, it reminds me that Ed Francis from TCC actually, for our reception the other day, set up a mobile hot shop in their parking lot. So people coming could actually blow glass and make a paperweight. So that was an exciting part of our reception. Each year in the Glass Guild Juried show, we have a one-person show going to the top award winner. And this year, that's Kathy Little.
Okay.
And Kathy is a open heart surgery nurse. Interesting background. She started doing stained glass, and then she kind of branched out. One of the things that always impresses me about the Glass Guild show, all of these artists, and many of them start with stained glass. And over the years, they try different techniques. They take a lot of classes and workshops. So they're always growing, and their work becomes more interesting and complex because they're combining these different techniques. This is a cast glass piece called Adornment.
Oh.
You've got a glass element at the top, a metal base, and then the base on the bottom is wood. So again, an interesting combination of materials. And Kathy also designed a stained glass piece to fit in one of the windows at the Art Center. So when you come to see her show, you'll also see a stained glass piece.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there are 3 really exciting shows. They show a lot of what can be done with glass, the different techniques and approaches.
Very different. I mean, the Cameo
show.
approach is very, very different than some of the others.
Yeah. They're all different techniques and used in many different ways. So it's a fun show.
And this is a good show to have over the holidays too, when a lot of people may have days off work or family in town, you know, look for something to do. You are located, tell us again.
We're located at 4205 Victoria Boulevard in Hampton, right between the Darling Football Stadium and the main library.
Pretty easy to find. And your cost to admission?
That's probably the best part. It's free admission.
Great
no
place.
Charge.
Great place to take take visitors or to spend a little bit of time. And this exhibit, or these 3 exhibits, run through January
20th.
January 20th. Okay, so we have plenty of time to go visit, and it's nice too if your interest gets piqued by this, you still have time to go see the Chihuly exhibit in Richmond, or to go look at other types of glass. It's just, I don't know. It's just a different medium. All your shows are wonderful, but this one I think is special to a lot of people, and to people maybe who don't think of themselves as artists or art appreciation. It's easy.
Yeah, it's a spectacular show.
We're
closed Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but otherwise we're open Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 5. So
1 to 5 on the
hope
weekends.
you'll visit.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for bringing these your own narration about the show to our studio, and I hope that people will take this as an inspiration to go see these in person. I know I will.
Look forward to seeing you there.
So thank you for watching today, and I hope you will take this opportunity also to go see these glass works on display at the Charles H. Taylor Gallery through January 20th. Thank you.